Hello, I'm Dr. Sheva Quinn, owner of Ziggy and Tootie Cakes and the Business Bakery. And today we're kicking off our 12 days of grant writing, right? Like 12 days of Christmas, but over these next 12 days, or next 12 topics, let's go there because we might get all this filming done in one day, but you're getting 12 topics. We're going to be talking about grant writing, okay? And so I've been in this grant writing space for a long time, probably about 15, 20 years. I started when I was in the military. I'm retired Air Force. I started writing then, and writing grants and researching grants is a way that I definitely sustained my family after I retired. So I know a lot about this space. Now, because many people know that, right? People often come to me wanting to know, hey, Sheva, hey, Doc, I need a grant, or I need money, or I'm doing this nonprofit, or I'm doing this thing, and we need some money, right? And so if they have a nonprofit, one of the first questions I ask them back in return is, well, what are y'all doing now for money? Well, like, where you getting money from now, right? And all the time they're like, girl, we ain't got no money. That's the problem. We ain't got no money. So you have a nonprofit and you have zero money. But here's what I know for sure. In order to have started that nonprofit, you had to have had some board members. So then the question becomes, so what are your board members doing to help the organization with funding? And it'd be like, girl, they ain't doing nothing, right? I get all the time, my board members are so sorry, or my board members don't do this, or I'm doing all the work, and yada, 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 yada. And so let's talk about that, okay? Because here's the thing. Your board members should be the first ones to be in a position to help the organization grow. One way that can happen is that your board members pay annual dues, okay? Just like other members of the nonprofit, then your board members should also be paying annual dues, if not at a higher price. In fact, all members of the organization should be paying some type of dues. And why is this important? Because you need funding. Because it helps the organization goes forward with its day-to-day task. Now, you guys as an organization, as a nonprofit, you get to decide on what those dues are going to look like and who pays what. But as the board members, all you need to agree on that number. And so when you're having your meetings and you're deciding on what the structure of the organization is going to look like and who pay what for dues, well, then when they're not paying dues, then they need to be replaced, right? If they're not following through and paying dues to be a part of the organization, then they definitely need to be replaced. But oftentimes this doesn't happen because of the fact that we bring people onto our board that are like our family members, our friends, our yeser people, people that do what we tell them to do whenever we tell them to do it. And unfortunately, that's not a good look. That's not a good look as a nonprofit because, for one, really, is because they don't do what they're supposed to do. They don't believe in taking on some of the tasks and responsibilities. They don't believe in paying the dues on time. Let's talk about timely dues, right? And so, unfortunately, what ends up happening is that the individual that had the vision for the nonprofit, oftentimes it's the executive director, they're left holding the bag. They're left holding the bag and trying to figure out all the things. And when they get totally stressed out and they're like, we ain't got no money coming in and ain't nothing happening, and I still have this vision that I want to carry forward, that's when they contact me and say, Sheva, how can we find money? Okay. And so again, over the next 12 days or 12 topics, we're going to be looking at ways that we can get funding and what does that process look like. But first off, my first advice to you is that if you do not have it in your in the structure of your nonprofit that individuals pay dues, right? All individuals, then that's your first step into getting money. Have the people that are part of your organization pay dues. I remember when I was a child, I used to go to what we used to call the Salvation Army. Some of y'all might relate to this, let me know. I am originally from Smyrna, Georgia, up by, well, now, y'all call it, it's the new Smyrna now, but I grew up when it was the old Smyrna, right? And so every summer, we would go to Marietta, which is like literally 10 minutes, the next city over. We would go to Marietta every summer and we would hang out at the Boys and Girls. I mean, not the Boys and Girls Club. We did the Boys and Girls Club too because, you know, we just had family that worked there. But what I'm talking about is the Salvation Army. Sorry, y'all. My dog is playing with the Christmas balls. Sorry. But yeah, we would hang out at the Salvation Army, and we just could not go for free. My cousins worked there. I had cousins that worked at the Salvation Army. I had cousins that worked at the Boys and Girls Club, all of that. But the Salvation Army was the place we wanted to be dropped off at the summer. And with that came dues. And so I recall every Monday, my mom looking for the money so that we can pay our dues. I think it was probably like $5, right? And it doesn't seem like a lot. Back then, it probably, hey, we're talking about the 80s, you know, it was probably a lot if you got 4 kids and you got to pay $5 for all of them, right? But what I'm getting at, or what I need you to know, it was still dues that had to be paid. But oftentimes what I'm seeing in nonprofits is that like we want the kids to come in, we want the people to come in and receive the service, and yet we don't want to ask them for anything in return. Sis, you can't run a nonprofit like that. I'm just saying. You need money for the day-to-day operations. I don't know if those $5 was going to give us our little brown bag of lunch. If it was, great. We ate those sandwiches and those Doritos and drank that Kool-Aid, and we was good to go, right? We was back out on the fields playing ping pong, all of that. But in order for the Salvation Army to continue with going on with its mission to give kids a safe place to go in the summer while their parents were working, I don't know if that was their mission or not, but that's what they did, all right? Then they needed money to make that happen. And so we have to stop being afraid to ask people for money. We have to stop being afraid to ask parents or to ask, you know, just whomever to pay dues to be a part of the nonprofit. Just because it's a nonprofit does not mean that it needs a profit in order to operate. All right, so here's day one. And I hope that you enjoyed this conversation, and I'll see you back soon with topic number 2. Bye now.